One of the things I like about Adobe Draw is if you're not much of an artist, it's a great tool to learn. So here's an example. I've got another little dot over the edge here. I don't know what happened there. What you can do is you can add layers, but you can add an image layer. And so I can pull things out of my camera roll. You see I take lots of screenshots of anime, just trying to look at it, and I might come back and try and trace over it. But here's a picture that a friend did. And they drew it with pencils. And so I can drop that in there, and if over the right-hand side, if you touch and hold, you can drag the layers around. And so now what I can do, if you tap on an image, you get the orange box around it, that means it's selected. And so I can go off and take my pen, I'm going to check my pen size, you want it reasonably sized. Now with 2 inches, you can do all the pinch and zoom. And so I'm going to draw around character. And so I'm not a very good artist, but I can trace. Now I'm going to come around the other side, the chin. These headphones over here. And I can always use the erase command. And there's an undo command. I'm going to just do this. I'm not going to do all the details here. I'm just really just doing this to illustrate a point. Come back around over the other side. Now it's not how head's normally shaped. Okay, so one of the brushes down the bottom is the erase brush, and you can control the size of the eraser. Or I could have done an undo, because it really doesn't look quite right, does it? Oh, I'm just not going to bother. Okay, so you get the idea. I can start drawing on these layers, and oh, I've got a little bit there in the corner, just rub that up, and start fleshing in the character. Now, it is worthwhile thinking about the layers, because each layer, if I want to do things like independence for the hair, it really should be in a separate layer, and so I might start another layer on top just to start fleshing in the hair, perhaps. Oops, I'm on the eraser still. And I'm just sort of going along the edge. Now, by not taking the pen down, I'm guaranteeing it's a contiguous line, which is convenient. You'll see why in a moment. Okay, now, in that particular case, I've got this all joined together, and I'm going to say, blow it, let's just merge it. So what I can do is if I tap on this image over the other side, one of the things you can do is merge down. So even if you just start drawing on a separate layer, you can merge 2 layers together. And so it's now merged them over on the right-hand side. It's now merged these 2 layers together. And so I've got 1 layer. If you double tap, it hides it, makes it appear. So, cool. Okay, so I've got this character like this. Now I've actually got the face outline and the head outline on the same image, and that probably wasn't such a good idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along with the eraser. Now, 2 fingers can to zoom in. Oops. So undo. Now I'm just going to undo these face lines. I'm going to do that onto another layer. And if it was a bit more, thought this out a bit more carefully, I would have not have made the mistake in the first place. Just going to clean it up a little bit. Through there. Going to make this dot a little bit smaller to get through here reasonably accurately. Pinch to zoom, drag across the other side. Okay. a bit of a mess of it. That's why the undo button's so nice. And it's much quicker if you get it right the first time. Now the other one you can do is press and hold to fill. So I'm going to press and hold on this line, and when I'm in erase, it erases. Okay, so now I've got the hair. If I press and hold on the inside, it does a fill. Now that hair may be too black in this particular case, so I'm going to undo. I'm going to, let's pick another color. Let's go for grey hair. Press and fill, and so now I've got some grey hair. And so it's quite quick to go off and fill things. I'm going to pick the color again, go the black. I've missed the eyes. On the bunny. These little floppy ears haven't been filled in, so how do I make sure I get the same color? Well, I can drag over here. And so I've just dragged the thing from the color to where I want, and now I can, if you move the cursor, if you move the pencil, it thinks you're moving, so you've got to be, unfortunately, very still. And so sometimes I have to tap and hold multiple times. For the color, for the other ones, I'm going to make them yellow. It looks like I've missed a little bit up here. I'm just going to fill that in. Tap and hold, and voila. So we got some, and I'm going to use that as one layer. Then I'm going to draw another layer on top. I'm going to come back, I'm going to pick the black, and this one, oops, just zooming in. This one I'm going to draw the face. And you're noticing that I'm actually going to draw this line all the way around, and the head is smaller than the hair. That's why I'm drawing on the inside. Now it doesn't really matter that much because it's going to be hidden by the hair. So all I'm trying to do is to make it filled in. Because then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press, oops, hold and drag over here, and then use that to fill. And then I can hold on the layer over here on the right, drag it up, and we've got, it's starting to get the shape together. Now, so I'm just going to, let's do the neck as well. I'm going to create another draw layer for the, go back to black for the pen. So I'm on my new draw layer up top. Oh, by the way, you can, if you tap on the draw layer, you get a number of properties. And so I'm going to call this one neck. And I'm going to call this one hair. And this one's going to be face. And this layer down the bottom, I'm actually not going to use, so I'm just going to delete it. Okay, so this neck layer, I tap to highlight, I've got the pen all selected, and I'm just going to include the shoulders. I'm going to draw it going up. I'm not going to do all the artwork, and I'm going to draw a semicircle, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the head to this. So this is actually going to be behind the head. I'm going to come out and draw down the other shoulder. Maybe we'll do a bit of the scarf. Okay, now what I'm going to do for this one, drag over here, get a bit of color, tap to, oops. Now if the corners don't meet up, then you can't do a fill. So I've got to join all these lines up properly. What I'll often do is I'll actually often use another brush. Do the fills. Okay, so what I'm also going to do is I'm going to take the face color and I'm going to, on the right layer, I'm going to fill this neck up. Cool. And then I'm going to bring the neck down behind the head. G. I'm going to bring the neck and shoulders down behind the face and the head. And so you can see, fairly quickly, I've got something up and going. Go back to my good old standard pen. I'm going to draw a line across. So I'm not planning to show all this body. Let's get the pink for the shirt. Gonna fill. Yep, I was lucky. It's all joined up. Cool. So we've got the hair, we've got the head. Now you might notice I haven't drawn the eyes straight onto the face, which is on purpose. What we're going to do now is use another layer for the eyes. You might say, well, it's rather hard to see the character here, and that's completely true. So I'm going to drag the character up the top. I'm going to drag my new eye layer up the top, and I can now draw over the top of the eyes. And so it's sort of okay, so it's the outline of the eyes. Now, one trick I can do here, because I've got the eye in a separate layer, you can actually also duplicate a layer. If you double click it hides, and you can do things like transform and do things like horizontal flips and then bring it over to the other side. So if you want to have two eyes that are perfectly symmetrical, I can do that. So I've got done. And so I've now got my two eye outlines. And they're perfectly identical. Now, you don't have to do it that way, but it's just a trick I thought I'd do. Now, I'm not going to do the eyes with all the detail I've got here. They're quite nicely done. But I do need to put the eyeballs in, and these are going to be the pupils. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to get rid of this layer. I'll put it back in a moment, because what I didn't do was fill out the whites of the eyes. And what I really want to do then is come over here. Actually, I might just start a new layer. So do not hide that one. I'm going to do it again. Something like that. And then I'm going to take my fill color. I'm going to get that sort of a white. I'm going to start a new layer. If I start a new layer, I can just throw it away. And I can draw over the top quite roughly. Not that roughly. I'm going to hide some of these other layers. Just double tap to hide. I'm going to come up here. Oh, darn it. Okay. Come back up here and delete that layer. I got a bit out of control with that one. I'm just adjusting the size, and then I'm going to draw around the edge. Now this particular pen has got all sorts of values on it, so the more I draw with it, the more it expands out, which in this case is a double-edged sword. So I'm doing a whole lot of separate little strokes. It's a little bit, oops, a little bit hard to see, but I'm just trying to join it all up, because then I can just hold in the middle and fill, and I can, oh, I'd meant to do that on a separate layer. Yeah, I'd forgotten. I thought this was my eye. Okay, that wasn't what I meant to do at all. Undo, 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 undo. Cool. So what I'd meant to do was to put a new draw layer and draw on the new draw layer, but I'm going to pick a different brush. Ah, no, what the heck I can do with this one? Going to try that again, a whole lot of strokes, just drawing around, and I'm overlapping the black a little bit. And you can start building your own tips and tricks, because I'm going to put this behind this black layer. So if I overlap the black, I know I'm not leaving a gap. Okay, and then I tap and hold in the middle, and it does a fill. I then bring the eye up above, and then I'm going to do a merge down. And so now we've got the whites of the eye and the outline of the eye all included together. And then I'm going to, okay, let's, oops, go away. Go away. Where's the face gone? Ah, here we go. So I'm going to take the eye. Now I'm going to duplicate it. The duplicate version, I'm going to not transform all layers. I just want to transform this layer. I'm going to flip horizontal. I'm going to bring the eye over to the other side. And I'm going there. And done. Now the other one that I haven't done is the eyebrows. And again, so I want another draw layer. And I want separate layers for the two eyebrows because they need to move independently. So if I draw it all on the same layer, then you spend more time in Photoshop and Illustrator and so forth, separating them all out. So it's better just to draw them separately. And then we've got another draw layer. I'm going to start hiding some of these things because now I've got to do the eyeball. This one's going to be the eyeball, the pupil, or it's really the iris. That wasn't very good. And the eye goes up and around. It's going to be hiding behind a little bit. We'll crop it all out and so forth later. I'm just going to cheat and just do a quick fill on the middle. I'm just going to take that green, so transfer it to full, fill it. It wasn't the right side of green. Okay, let's try this one. That's a little bit better. Pretty cheap and nasty. I'm sure you can do a better job. I'm sure I could do a better job. I'm just not going to bother. Okay, and I'm going to duplicate that and then transform, move it over to the other eye, done. And so we can start bringing all the pieces of our face back together. Okay, so I don't need that one anymore, so I'm just going to delete that one. So you can keep it around while you need it. Bring back the hair and the face. Let's hide the original artwork and see how good my one's coming along. Go away. Oops, undo. Now I'm going to use clipping later on for the eyes. So I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to put the mouths on a separate layer, so we're getting closer. And you can see how you need lots and lots of little layers here. Okay, let's do another draw layer for this new draw layer came down here. Okay, yeah, we're going to do a new one for the mouth. So I need to bring back the real artwork. And it's, oh, I haven't done the nose either. Okay. On the nose, I'm going to draw straight on the face, I think. Why can't I see that? Oh, it's down behind everything. Okay, so another thing you can do is if you come to a layer, you can change its opacity. And so now I've made that image layer a bit more transparent. You see that I actually did put the little mark for the nose. It's just you couldn't see it. And so I've drawn that on a new layer. I'm going to keep it separate. I'm going to call that nose so I know what nose it is later on. Okay, what else are we going to do? We want to do the mouth. And do another draw layer. Yep, select that. Put the black. I'm just going to do a simple mouth. This one's good. Later on, we might try and do a whole lot of different mouth positions, but you can see that you need lots and lots of layers going on, and so you start to run out after a while. Okay, so let's zoom back out and see how we're going. So we've probably got enough. I mean, to hide the artwork, it's not as good as the original artwork. It's lacking a lot of the detail. I could fill that in. But this is just a sample how you can get something up and going. So these eyes, don't get too worried about the eyes. We're going to clip them by the eyeballs later on. And if I was really doing it, I would have put all the eye highlights, like pick a night color and zoom right in, pick a nice small, and you sort of, oops. So one thing you do need to keep track of is what layer you're on, because I just drew on this draw layer instead of the one I wanted, because this was mouth any neutral. Okay. And so what I wanted to really do is to do it on the correct pupil, which is this one. So you've got to tap on it, and then you can put like a little representing the eye color, like the shine on the eyes. And yes, I should have duplicated it and done this and then duplicated it. Anyway, so there we are. We've got shines on the eyes now, just giving it a little bit more life. And cool. So I think we've got a fair bit done there. And so what I'm now going to do is I'm going to send it. Now, because I'm doing this project with Photoshop, I'm going to send it over to Photoshop. And then I'm going to jump over there in a little bit. And this is basically syncs it up to your cloud account and it'll open up in Photoshop. But I'm going to leave this one here. What we'll do in the next episode is we'll take this artwork and show it's appearing in Photoshop and bring and sort of assemble it. Oh, there's a little sent message. Cool. I think that's all I want to show this time. See you next time.